Hello everyone, SilicatYT from CMDred here, and in today's Datapack tutorial, I'll cover how you can detect someone leaving the world in Minecraft purely with Datapacks. Now, I know that some of you might be thinking, that's super easy, there's even a scoreboard objective in the game called Leave Game. We can just check for that. But that's where you're wrong, because that scoreboard actually detects people joining the world. Let me explain. If a player leaves the server, their leave game scoreboard increments by 1. But if you try to check for it, we get no results. That's because by the time we try to see if anyone has a score of 1, the player in question is no longer online. Meaning we can only detect if they left the server by the time they're already online again, which kind of makes it a join detection instead. So how can we detect if someone leaves? Well, we could check if the player count is lower than the player count 1 tick ago. If that's the case, someone must have left. But we still don't know who exactly left. For that, we need a little bit more trickery. My proposal is the following. Every time a player joins, it puts them into a list of online players. And when anyone leaves, it cycles through that list to see if anyone on that list is no longer online. If it finds someone, it removes them from the list and runs the commands I want to run. Understood? Let's code that. So I just coded an example data pack. Let me demonstrate how it looks in-game first. So here we have a storage called example online players, and when we get its data, we can see that I'm the only one online. Now if I join with my second account, KuroshiWolf, and I look at the data of online players again, suddenly there's a new name. Now, if I leave with that account again, it says in chat the player who left is KuroshiWolf, so it can get the player's name of everyone who left. And if you look at the data again, it's only my name again. Wonderful. This also works if multiple people join and leave in the same tick, so no worries here. So here we are in the data pack. First, I'll show you the load and tick functions. In load, I'm adding 2 scoreboard objectives, one that tracks when someone leaves and then rejoins the game, and one that tracks nothing, it's just there for fake players. And I'm also setting a shulker box at the world border for something I'll explain later. In the tick function, I'm detecting when somebody joins the game, and if they do, the join function is run. And I'm also comparing the previous player count with the current player count, and if the current player count is lower than the previous player count, that means that somebody has left. And then I'm setting the previous player count to the current player count so that the next tick can work again. Now I have to make an advancement called first join, because as I just said, this scoreboard, join game, only tracks if you join the game once you have left the game already. First join accounts for that, so that the join function is also run when you join the first time. Let's go into the leave detection folder. Here we have the join function. First I'm resetting the score, then I'm updating the player count, and then I'm adding myself to the online players storage. So first I'm inserting my own player head, that's the loot table right here. I made this with the Miso's loot table generator. I'm filling that loot table, which contains my player head, into the shulker box. Then I'm appending something to the array online players, and then I'm changing the name of that placeholder to the name that's stored in the player head item. So that's how I get the player's name. And then I just clear the shulker box again so it doesn't fill up. Now I can go back to tick, and you see when the player count is lower, it runs someone left, so let's go to someone left. And here it does something interesting. First, it copies the online players list storage to a temporary storage, so we can modify that without actually affecting the real online players list. then we're getting the amount of objects in the array with this command. Basically, when you do execute store result and you put if data and then the storage and then the array with the two brackets at the end, the result that it stores in the score is the amount of objects in that array. So I'm putting that into the list size scoreboard, and then I'm running a function checkIfOnline. Basically, that's a loop that cycles through the array X amount of times, with X being the amount of items in the array, because I only want to loop in the array until it's empty. Then I'm resetting the list size score, and then I'm removing the temporary storage again. So in checkIfOnline, I'm first running checkIfOnline2. That's this function here that checks if the player is online. And interestingly, I'm using macros here. I'm running function checkIfOnline with storage example temporary list -1. The list -1 targets the object at the very end of the array, so it's basically the current one that it's processing. And in list -1, the name of the player is stored. So I can use that in a macro and checking if that player with that name is not online, then it runs the function leave while inserting the macro variable name into it. And the leave function is basically just the player who left is blah blah blah. It just gets the last object's name again. And then it removes the player from the online players array, but only if there's no player with that name online. So leave is run for every player who just left in that tick. Then it removes 1 from the list size, checks if it's still 1 or higher, then it removes the last object of the temporary array, and then it runs checkIfOnline 1 more time. And that's basically the entire data pack. When you join, it puts the player's name into an array, and when somebody leaves, it cycles through the array, checks who in that array is no longer online, and then for every person who meets that condition, it runs the leave function, which says who left, and then it removes the player from the online players list. So yeah, that's basically the entire data pack. And I know that this is rather complicated for a first data pack tutorial on this channel. Generally, I won't cover the absolute basics of data packs on this channel, because there are already a lot of tutorials for the super basic stuff. CloudWolf has a lot of tutorials that are simple, and quite a lot of tutorials for older data packers as well. So yeah, I'm trying to cover only stuff that I haven't really seen on YouTube much or at all. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you understood it. If you didn't understand anything, please ask questions in the comments. I'll try to answer them. Please also post ideas for tutorials in the comments. And with that, see you next time.